Little bunny foo-foo hopping through the forest, scooping up the field mice and bopping them on the head.
I gotta be honest, that is in no way, shape, or form where I thought you were gonna go when you said I got an idea.
I never truly know where I'm going with an idea.
It's true.
Welcome.
Welcome.
This is Research Rank Repeat. This is co-host Hannah.
And this is co-host Alyssa. And today we have a very fun update to a group of episodes we did last year that took up a large portion of time.
Can I just say how nice it was to only have to watch, which we had both watched this thing live.
Yes.
But I rewatched it. How nice it was to just watch one.
Yeah. It was so nice.
Yeah.
Especially for me, because as we discussed like 5 minutes ago when we were getting set up, that I asked Hannah if she had added notes because she is note-taking this episode. Oh, by the way, we're talking about the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yes.
Just because we didn't say that
No,
yet.
we did not, no.
And I was talking to Hannah, and I asked, oh, did you put your notes in our Google Doc, or did you do it, like, write it separately? And she's like, no, it's in the Google Doc. And then when I opened it, I was like, oh, yeah, this is 35 pages long.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten that was a long, arduous journey.
Long process. But
Long process.
we are here. February is still in. We are recording this the month it came out.
Yeah.
The month we're recording this the month the event happened.
Yes, it is February.
So
it's currently
still
February.
February.
Yes.
Yeah, the Super Bowl came and went.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was a controversial year.
yeah,
I suppose in many ways, you know.
It was. It was, and we'll get into some of that, but it definitely was a controversial year. A lot of lead up to the Super Bowl.
A lot of lead up to the Super Bowl.
Since last year. And by last year, I mean, like, well, last year.
Yeah, yes, 2025 into 2026.
Like, yes. And, yeah, you know, it was a lot. So, we're going to get into it. Do you have any further thoughts before we,
I guess we should say, like, this year's, in case you are not from the U.S.,
yes.
The Super Bowl is the NFL's championship game. Football, not football, but football. American football.
Hoist that Lombardi trophy.
Yeah, this year it was between the Seahawks and the Patriots.
Yeah, congrats to the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, you know, I'm a supporter of the Seahawks sports.
You
know, the Mariners beat us in baseball
They did.
to knock us out of the playoffs with one of the longest baseball games I've ever sat through in my entire life. But, you know, having gone to Seattle now.
We just were there this last year.
We were there about about a year ago. Around this time last year. And honestly, pretty top city. Like, one of my favorite cities I've visited in the past couple of years, I gotta say.
Yeah, and their owner or GM, I can't remember which, is like a female who, like, is badass, and there's not a lot of female owners / GMs in the sport, so it's cool to see. So congrats to the Seahawks.
Yeah, congratulations. And headlining this halftime show this year was the artist Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny, yes.
Yes. And so I really should have thought this out and not doing it on a sinus-issued brain, but we just wanted to say hola to our friends in any Spanish-speaking countries out there. Because we do get listeners South America, Brazil, you know. Puerto Rico. We have gotten listens from Puerto Rico before. It's happened.
And to our fans who live in non-Spanish speaking countries, but also speak Spanish.
Yeah. You know? Hola.
Hola.
Gracias por ayudarme en our podcast.
I fear we're giving the scene from Bridesmaids.
I just said thank you for helping me. I was going to say us, but then I can't remember what ayudars say.
I don't know.
Because melee.
We both took some Spanish in high school.
Yeah, we took 4 years. At least I took.
Did you take 4 years?
Yeah, I was going to say I took 4 years of Spanish as well, but
and this is
some
what's
of it.
Gotten us.
Here's my problem. I remember a lot of words. I don't really remember grammar, which is pretty important in speaking a language.
Yes.
So I'm better at reading Spanish than I am comprehending and speaking Spanish. Like, I can look at Spanish written, and I can pick up more visually than I would, like, audibly.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right. Anyway, so Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny headlined the Super Bowl this year, which is Super Bowl. I can't do letters. LX
LX would be 60.
60.
I believe so. L
Okay.
is 50, X is 10, and if it's after, it should be 60.
Okay, Super Bowl
believe.
60. It is 60. You're right.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm pretty confident in my Roman numerals. I did many a puzzle where I had to know Roman numerals. I learned a lot.
I have not.
That I did retain. Spanish I didn't, but the Roman numerals I got it.
So yeah, Super Bowl 60. Bad Bunny was the headline, and it had features from Lady Gaga, Ricky Martin, and Los Planeros de la Cresta, which is a they did like acoustic guitar playing. I think there were some other instruments as well that they played. Mm-hmm. So this one was in Santa Clara, California, which is the home of the 49ers. Produced by Jesse Collins and Rock Nation, who also did stuff on the Kendrick Lamar show the year prior, as well as Usher's.
Rock Nation has
They've
been
done
doing,
quite a few.
That's Jay-Z's company.
Yes.
And they've been doing the Super Bowl, I think, for the past, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, because they did the one with, Dr. Dre and all that as well, too.
Mm-hmm. Rihanna, they've been doing a lot of
so
them.
same producer, sponsored again by Apple Music. A runtime of 13 minutes and 41 seconds, so 20 seconds longer than the previous Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I just wrote, where does one even start with this one? We're gonna start off with viewers first. I do have a little snippet, but we're gonna keep a lot of the attention on Bad Bunny specifically.
Yeah, I mean, we got to talk about everything.
We
because
will.
Yeah,
but
yes.
I purposely kept it short just so we could keep the attention on what I want to focus on.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay, so this Super Bowl had 128.2 million viewers domestically, which made it the 4th most watched halftime show in history. And then 4.8 million viewers on Telemundo, which was the network's largest audience for an American football broadcast.
Okay. Which, I mean, makes sense.
Yes.
Was the other, I bet, the Shakira J-Lo show, probably.
I believe so.
I remember correctly from when we did the background. I feel like that got a lot of views as well.
So I do know that Kendrick Lamar was the most watched halftime show, which was last year's.
Right.
Anyway, so it was the first time a Latino solo artist had headlined the Super Bowl halftime show, and the first halftime set performed almost entirely in Spanish. So just to get kind of the controversy we talked about.
Or I guess one of them.
One of the controversies. When this halftime show was announced, there was a lot of backlash from, I would say, more of the conservative crowd. And so in response to that, Turning Point USA decided to produce their own halftime show that would air at the exact same time as the Super Bowl halftime show, called the All-American Halftime Show.
Yes.
And it had I know they went through a bunch of initial lineups, people dropped out of it, but Kid Rock was announced as the headliner, which Kid Rock is from Michigan.
Oh, that's a different show where people are dropping out of.
No, but people also dropped out of this one.
Oh, did they also drop
Yes.
out of this one as well? Okay.
I did read
I
that.
thought you were talking about the
No.
Kid
There was
Rock,
they were doing
show.
a concert.
Okay.
But anyway, so Kid Rock was the headline, which is such a very odd headline. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, in the context of the actual show itself. But yeah, so Kid Rock, it was the headline. And it was interesting. I was reading, the show only drew in a couple million viewers live. It was hard to find exact numbers because the Nielsen rating didn't actually pull numbers from this show, and I think it was streamed on I want to say YouTube. I don't think they even had it. I don't know if they actually had it on TV.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, part of it is it didn't actually air directly during the halftime show.
Right.
It was there was a 30-minute waiting area before it started. It was pre-taped.
Yep.
So it was not live.
Yes.
And I know it was offset. It wasn't actually directly airing right when the Super Bowl halftime show was airing.
Right.
So I think that also probably, affected numbers as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why it didn't air. If they really wanted to make a competitive, halftime show. I'm not sure why they didn't air it right when the other one was, because we've talked about this in the past where there was like the In Living Color episode happened, and took actually more viewers away. That's why they got Michael Jackson. That's why this kind of all started, is because other like shows and episodes were pulling away viewers from the actual Super Bowl. So I don't know. I feel like it wasn't really truly thought out well.
Yeah.
Just execution alone, regardless of the political aspects of this halftime show,
Yes, but so it featured Kid Rock, Lee Brice, Brantley Gilbert, and Gabby Barrett. And it got a lot of scrutiny. I wonder why. And a lot of it was on Kid Rock's part, because it was very clear that he was lip syncing. And his he said that it was because it was hold on, let me see his quote. He said that because it had to be like pre-recorded, and because portions of the rap section were done with someone else, he needed time to like catch his breath. I don't know. So he said he had to lip sync it. And they did mention the reason they created this show was to celebrate, quote, American culture, freedom, and faith, and the family values. So,
because what really screams family values to me is young ladies.
Yeah.
Kid Rock songs,
They call it statutory. I call it mandatory.
Yeah, what my other favorite thing is? That was in the movie Osmosis Jones, a children's movie.
Yeah.
Yep. Early 2000s was a different time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And they said that it was considered to be such a success that they would do it again next year. So,
yeah.
Can't wait.
Also, Hannah, I think we're uniquely qualified to talk shit on Kid Rock.
Yes.
Given that we know where he grew up. It's close to where we grew up. And I would in no way, shape, or form ever describe that area as being white trash or redneck adjacent.
Nope.
Especially Kid Rock. Definitely came from a wealthy area. So take with that what you will.
I mean, it's interesting because it's like, I would say there's a lot of, I guess, big musicians that have come out of Michigan, especially with like Motown and everything like that. But when I think about like modern people, and I'm not considering Kid Rock a big musician, let me state that. But I think obviously like Eminem is like one of the more well-known people out of Michigan, and I think he has room to speak because he grew up in like a really bad part of Detroit, like a notoriously known bad part, and maybe not current day, but like where the time he grew up is still probably not like the safest area.
Yeah, stretches, for sure.
Right. So, but then and then you have Kid Rock who grew up in like suburban, basically suburban Michigan, like middle class area.
Yeah. Plus his dad owned like a bunch of dealerships. So,
right.
Like,
we can say that we hate Kid Rock and we hate that he's from Michigan. Anyways, so I don't really want to say anything more on that unless you have anything specific about the show. I just kind of want to move back to the actual Super Bowl
the only thing I wanted to say is I saw a few snippets of it and it just came across as very odd. Even like regardless of the religious aspects, right? Like that is the Turning Point's whole shtick, right? I mean, part of it is
religion,
the religious aspect, right? And regardless of that, if you're gonna do a halftime show, you gotta like commit. Like I know Kid Rock was complaining that like the syncing, like he was like the syncing was bad, like the producers weren't getting it together. Like if you're gonna host a halftime show, you're gonna pre-tape it.
Right.
You're only gonna have 200 people in the audience, I think is what I heard.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't that
you
many.
gotta really sell it, and I really think they did not in any way, shape, or form sell that show.
Right.
It's a real like if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it. You gotta commit. And they really did not commit.
Kind of the difference between like how much they committed, like how much Bad Bunny and that team committed to theirs. It feels very like significant that Bad Bunny was the artist the first year they decided to do this halftime show because of how like, even compared to other halftime shows, like how much he actually just fucking committed to that.
Right.
Yeah.
I also wanted to state that I am very aware there's a lot of really stupid Americans.
Yep.
Us being on some of them on some cases, like we're not all knowledgeable on everything. However, we're very aware that Puerto Rico is part of America.
Yes, we do know
people
that.
from Puerto Rico are American citizens. And I know that was a big talking point for a lot of people
Yep.
in general, was the fact that, for one, having covered all these halftime shows, we've had many non-Americans hosting the halftime show.
Yep.
That would not be the first case this has ever happened.
Yeah, and I think of like
You know?
U2 doing it the year after 9/11.
Yep. You got all the British bands. You got Paul McCartney.
Rihanna. You had Shakira, who did with Jennifer
The
Lopez.
Weeknd.
Yep.
Yeah. The
So
Weeknd.
we've had a lot of people who are not, who are actually not from America or
Yes.
Americans by,
Right.
but
It's
yeah.
also not the first halftime show that's had Spanish in it.
Right. Yes.
So
yes.
I just wanted to say that in relation to, I know part of the reason why this halftime show was created was partially due to these topics. And
Right.
so I just would like to say that we're very aware of that.
Yes.
And you can think of it what you will.
But the fact of the matter is that Puerto Rico is part
Yeah.
of America. Mm-hmm. So,
Correct.
yes.
All right.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, we can move on.
So anyways,
I'm-
let's move on
I'm
because
content.
I do not want to give it more attention. Okay, so back to the actual show is what I wrote. So this performance drew widespread critical acclaim, particularly praising the performance, production, and themes. A lot of the highlighting that was done was on the show's social commentary on Puerto Rico's history, as well as like Latin history in general. And so, like, a little bit of a background, because I remember hearing about this when it was happening. In 2025, it was reported that Taylor Swift might be the headliner for the halftime show. She has, I think, been offered, like, 3 out of the 4 last years to
Yeah.
do the halftime show. And I did read that part of her reasoning for not wanting to do it specifically this year and previous years was because her now fiance... Or no, husband? Are they married now? I
No,
can't remember.
they're engaged.
I think
still,
they're engaged.
yeah.
Her fiance Travis Kelce had been in previous Super Bowls, and she didn't want to like draw the attention away from him or like be distracted while she was trying to support her partner.
Right. That, and I know when she was doing the Eras tour, she was like, I can't do.
I mean,
all of
yeah,
it at
do
the
you
same
blame her?
time.
It's like she was
Very
doing
fair, yeah.
hours-long shows.
I mean, we saw with like Prince. Remember when they like built the stage in a day? Like
Yeah.
they didn't even practice like at the stadium. They just like threw it together, and then that's when they severed cords. So
Right. It's
you know.
a lot different now with the amount of like time that's put into it. So in September of 2025, Bad Bunny was announced as the headliner. He had previously appeared as a special guest alongside Shakira and Jennifer Lopez when they did their Super Bowl.
Yes.
And they did the NFL commissioner Roger Goodell, whatever his name is, no one likes him. He was quoted saying that part of the reason they picked Bad Bunny specifically was because they are trying to like engage more with their Latin audience. There's
Yeah.
a large portion of the NFL fan base that comes from like ethnicities, like Latin ethnicities, or from
Any Latin American countries.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so they were trying to find ways to like bring them more into and be more engaged with them.
It's also like Bad Bunny's consistently been one of the top artists, like globally,
Right.
in general. Just
He's
in a
also
general
like
sense.
and he's been on a lot of our Songs of the Summer lists previous years.
I was gonna talk about like
Yeah.
our history with his music maybe when we finish the background before we start talking about.
But
the
yeah,
show.
so
But
he's definitely like a big artist, and especially like previous or especially in recent years. I feel like it more in the more well known in America, I should say.
yes.
So, I did see a lot of like memes about the people dressed up as plants.
Yes.
And so the NFL regulations prohibit motorized vehicles on the field during the shows. So they had 380 performers dressed as plants and foliage that carried stage elements during transitions between segments. I didn't know if this was true because I feel like we've had
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that because we definitely, at least in the like earlier 2000s, we had Stevie Wonder came in on a car. We had ZZ Top had cars.
I wonder if it's more recent.
Didn't they have a car in the Dr. Dre Snoop Dogg show? Weren't there cars on the field?
Maybe.
But, like, yeah, we definitely have had vehicles in the past,
Yes.
so I don't know if this is a newer
Maybe it's
thing,
newer. Or maybe it's specific to the fields, like if it's gonna, like, each stadium maybe
Yeah.
can regulate
I
their
don't know.
own. Yeah.
So anyway, I know that's it must be a rule
Right.
created at some point.
Yeah.
Because it was not always like that.
Yeah. So the show is described as telling the story of real people in everyday life that are celebrating the Latin community. It featured more than 300 dancers, multiple moving stages, and an actual wedding, which was a couple that had invited Bad Bunny to their wedding, and he basically was like, I can't come to your wedding, but how about you come to the Super Bowl and get married?
Yeah,
and he
and get
signed their
married here.
marriage license, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
There were also, as Alyssa pointed out to me, because I didn't see the first time, there were multiple celebrity appearances, including Cardi B, Karol G, Jan Miko, Jessica Alba, Pedro Pascal, who was just back in the background, like...
That's like one of the first people I noticed.
Yeah,
I was
Alyssa's
like,
like, oh
Hannah,
my
I saw
God, it's Pedro.
It's like Pedro Pascal's back there. I saw
As well
him.
as many other... I know there was a couple, like baseball players who come from Puerto Rico, and other people as well. Yeah. So they kind of, the whole Super Bowl performance, we'll talk about it when we talk about the actual show, but they go through like different settings and stuff like that. And one of them they had is like with utility poles. And it's a reference to, there was a massive electrical grid collapse in 2017 that was caused by Hurricane Maria. And after that, residents taught themselves electrical skills and were like, we're just going to climb these poles and fix them.
'cause
Ourselves.
the U.S. really fucked over Puerto Rico. Like, they did not send the help they needed to fix the electrical grid. I remember hearing about this, because this is when, like, I would have been in college or just
Right.
graduating college, and I
Yeah.
definitely remember hearing
It was like
about it a lot.
And they've mentioned that since that, they've had a lot of other, like, issues with their electrical grids moving forward, kind of, like you said, due to, like, lack of funding and, like, lack of money being put into that. Okay, so there was a review from Daniel Feinberg from The Hollywood Reporter. He called it the most impressively... oh, my God. Can you read it? I can't read.
Okay. Daniel Feinberg from The Hollywood Reporter called it the most impressively conceived and executed Super Bowl halftime production I've ever seen. Vital in every imaginable definition of the word.
Thank
End
you.
Quote.
I couldn't get that out for
welcome.
some reason.
It's a lot of, like, very specific
I
sounding
know. I think
words.
the impressively conceived part was getting me. So, kind of a fun fact. After the halftime show, Duolingo, which is a like language learning platform, they reported a 35% increase in Spanish language learners.
Nice.
So that's cool.
I know Spotify got a huge boost of listens for Bad Bunny following the show, and I'm sure in other platforms as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is kind of that background. Did you wanted to say something about
Yeah, I just, before we actually got to the actual show, I thought it would be interesting to talk about, the first time I feel like I heard about Bad Bunny was in, when he was featured on Cardi B's, like, I Like It, song, and I believe that was in 2018, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not
look it up.
sure.
Let me pull up Spotify real quick and check. Cardi B. It was It was on her first, 2018 is when that, like, the album came out. I don't know if the single came out before then, but yeah, so it was, a good 8 years ago, and he was featured on that album. I feel like, though, I really I feel like I really listened to him more with his album that came out in 2022, which is Un Verano Sin Ti. That's something when we were doing Songs of the Summer, that album had multiple songs on our list. I included one of them on my list that year. I was going to pull up my Songs of the Summer list from that year, and let's see. Titi Mi Pregunto, which is the name of, I think that was the one that was on there.
Yeah,
There's my final one. Just kidding. No, Mi Porto Bonito. That's the song I included on my list. But there were multiple songs from that album on the actual list, and then
Right.
we both included his feature with Un Grupo Frontero
Yep.
on our list in, I believe that was 2024, 2 years ago.
2023 maybe.
Was it 2023? That was 2024, but
I think
could be wrong.
so.
Songs of summer 2020. Oh yeah, it was 2023.
I
You're
was
right.
gonna say I think it was 2023.
Yeah, so we both have included him on lists of like when we are covering songs of the summer. It would have been like 2021, 2022 time frame. Someone I know who was living in the U.S. for a year to do a research project was from Puerto Rico, so I feel like I heard a lot about Bad Bunny
Right.
from her as well.
Right.
And honestly, like, I think it makes sense why he's extremely popular.
Yeah.
I feel like just through his music, and especially when we get into the halftime show, I feel like you can tell he really loves Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I mean, it's where he's from, but also I feel like he makes really entertaining music you can move to.
Right.
That's what he was telling people: learn how to dance.
Yeah.
Learn how to dance. So yeah, I've always liked his music since I've listened to it. I like the newest album quite a bit. I think there's some good songs on there as well. I don't think the album wasn't anywhere around our songs of the summer list because it had come out at the very beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So we didn't get any of them this year, but yeah. So that's just on my side. The Bad Bunny. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
Yeah.
About...
I mean, I think I was kind of like I wouldn't say I ever really like listened to his music that often, and even now I still don't think I like listen to his music. Like he's not a regular artist, I should say, that comes up on a lot of my playlists, but I do listen to his song with Grupo Frontero. That's on quite a bit of my playlist. There's songs of his that will come up. Like I don't find myself like skipping his music because it will come up on like Spotify does like playlists they'll create for you and stuff,
Right.
and he'll come up and I'll listen to him. But definitely like out of a lot of the artists, maybe more recent artists in the Super Bowl, probably one of the ones I've heard less music of. Like when I was listening to all the songs, I like recognized a song here or there, but at the same time I was like, oh, like all this music's super catchy. All this music just makes me want to like get up and dance. Yeah, so I would say like maybe not super familiar with his stuff, but an artist that I've like enjoyed a lot of his music as well.
Yeah, I've had some of the songs on my running playlist for a while too. It's good, like tempo,
definitely.
for, like exercise running. But yeah, so I guess now we can get into the halftime show.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So the show starts out in like sugarcane fields. And kind of shows like people working in them. And starts out with the song Titi Me
Pregunto.
Pregunto. Yeah, and it's like I think it's like I remember when me and Alyssa were like texting each other during the show.
Oh yeah, do you want to cover our text exchange?
Oh, yeah.
during the show. We could do that.
But
thought
I
about
think
that
my
earlier.
initial reaction when it first came up was like, oh, like this is. I had a feeling it was going to be very like, very what's the word I'm looking for? Visually, like a very visual show in the sense that like there was going to be a lot of different stuff going on.
Yes. I think like you kind of go through I think it's very very like a picture like storytelling in terms
Yes.
of giving you a lot of like Puerto Rican culture.
Yeah.
By like setting up like the stands and like different groups of people in like kind of like where we're following Bad Bunny going through
Right.
this like this environment through like you could imagine like on the island like you're
Right.
going through these areas.
Yeah.
And I think the beginning especially sets up kind of like this we're gonna follow through a story being told, I guess is maybe the way to phrase it.
Yeah, I think that was my first initial reaction was like, oh, like this is definitely going to be a very like visual show to watch.
Yes.
Yeah, and so then he goes into Yoi Pero Sola. I can't remember when which song was it where all the like celebrity appearances started happening.
I think it was.
It might have been around the third or fourth.
Let me.
Because I know
Yeah.
Die with a Smile, and the song before that was when they went to like the wedding.
Do you know when the when you looked up the thing, did it say when there was like mixes of songs in other songs? Because it was
Yes.
around when Gasolina played. When the,
But it didn't. For some reason, it didn't mention Gasolina, which was weird.
Because it just so part of the show I instantaneously recognized Gasolina
Yes,
by
because
Daddy
Alyssa did
Yankee.
text me and said,
Well, because then because I was checking my text chain, the first thing I said was Pedro Pascal is hiding back there, and you said OMG, and then I said Gasolina in our year 2026. So
Yes.
right after that would have been when Gasolina was teased. So I remember I looked it up after, but Bad Bunny in the like set mix did a lot of like little references to like prominent Puerto
Yeah.
Rican artists. So Daddy Yankee being from Puerto
Right.
Rico as well. Which
yeah, it doesn't
we love
mention on the set
Gasolina.
list where Gasolina
Okay.
came from.
That's where I was trying to figure out like where
But regardless, so
Where that occurred,
yeah,
yeah.
so they do that song, and then
we kind of move we move into like he gets a ring and then he gives it to a couple and then they get engaged.
and then we move into like it's like a outdoor setting, like an outdoor kind of like looks like a patio area. And that's where we get like all these, you just start seeing like all these celebrity appearances and like a big like
Yeah.
dance number. And I made the note that there were two men grinding on each other with a pride flag, which I loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so and then we do Voya Lavarte
Yeah, it's a Y, two L's.
Yavarte Pa.
Yavart, yeah. Puerto Rico. Yeah. PR,
Yep.
Puerto Rico.
And then and then we after that we kind of transition to a different setting.
Yeah, I think I love when he fell through the house.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It kind of was like a slightly pre-recorded like little segment where he like falls through, which I think it's kind of funny they allowed him to just like fall through the house,
Right.
You know? And so he falls through the house and then he gets up and like walks out into the crowd.
Yep.
Where we then see all the dancing. That's when Gasolina's teased.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he goes into there's like a violin arrangement of Monaco,
Monaco, yeah.
I don't know if you pay.
It's just like the Monaco, the place.
Okay, cool. I didn't
Yeah.
know if it was said differently. So they go into that, and that's when they start, they show like this wedding happening, and there's an officiant, and they kiss and celebration. And then, and then
I
we're
also
like,
liked when he had the talking little segment.
Yes.
Because he's like, you gotta believe in yourself. Let's
Yeah.
in Spanish basically translates to like,
right.
you could believe in yourself kind of deal. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's nice. Like,
Yeah.
just a
And
little
then,
message.
the twist I didn't see coming, where I said,
Yes.
what? And Alyssa said, oh, I was like, do you want to read your part?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so then I said, oh, all O's,
Yeah.
oh shit.
I said, didn't see that coming.
Yeah. And then I
So-
said this arrangement is great.
What we didn't see coming was that Die with a Smile, but a salsa version.
Salsa version.
And Lady Gaga comes out.
And it's arranged like at a little bit of a different speed as well.
Yeah.
Because I remember people were like this sounds bad, like it doesn't sound right. I'm like,
it was
yeah, 'cause
really
it's not at
cool.
the same. It's arranged differently. Like it's not supposed to sound.
No, and it was supposed to fit the theme of everything
Yeah.
going on, too.
And one thing I really liked, and I read people talking about, is how in the storytelling sense, it was kind of nice to have like. And I say this like a white woman being the wedding entertainer, right?
Yeah.
Like she's there to sing, and that's kind of like flipping the script on the
Yeah.
opposite, where it's often,
right.
somebody else performing for
Right.
white people, for lack of better words. Like some people were saying, like it's kind of like symbolic in that way. Like she's there performing for this wedding. Like she's not the main act. She's here to to perform for these people, you know, the people getting married and the people at the wedding. So
yeah, and I didn't
thought that was
know.
kind of like a nice
Alyssa pointed
storytelling.
out that he's like a really big fan of Lady Gaga. Bad Bunny
Yes,
is, which I did not know.
He's been seen in like Lady Gaga merch. Like he's
Yeah.
been a big fan. So I was like, that's nice for him. 'Cause
Yeah,
know
I was like, he's probably
he's a
like
big fan
freaking
of
out getting
her.
to perform with like one of his idols, which is cool.
He's like cited her as one of his like musical
Yeah.
influences. So I think that's nice.
Yeah, so that wraps up, which I thought was really cool. Mm-hmm. And then we go into Ballet Inolvad. Wait.
Baile inolvidable.
Yeah, sure. Yep, so we go into that. And then we get Nueva Yol. And then we switched to like close up.
Oh, yeah,
of, like,
he did a little trustful.
Oh, yeah,
We
he
forgot
did.
about the trustful. Yeah,
Yes.
you can't forget about the trustful.
It's like I
Yeah.
can't remember every single scene.
I have the video pulled up just to kind of
Yeah.
go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so then we
it's-
go.
It's
you did a
fine because
little
like when we did the other
trustful.
halftime shows, we didn't do like every single moment, so it's fine.
No, but I just wanted to cover like the important things that I
Yeah.
thought. Like we kind of went back. We went to like there's like a little marketplace. Like we have a different set piece where people are dancing in the street. You know, and it's kind of like a little bit of a dance party in this section. A lot of the trumpet players. There's a lot of like the brass, like jazzy kind of sound to it as well.
Yeah.
In this section, and then he gives like a version of himself his Grammy. Like,
Oh
him
yeah,
winning the
and
Grammy.
yeah, so he gives a little kid a Grammy, and I know a lot of people thought it originally was Luis, the like 5-year-old boy from Minnesota who was
yeah.
taken by ICE, and it turns out it was not. It was like a child actor.
I was like, that would be really traumatizing. to,
Yeah.
like, make that kid go on national
Yeah.
television
But
after
I
everything he's
think,
experienced. But you know,
I think though a lot of people were drawing that parallel with what was going
which
on
I think
in
is
the world.
very fair. Yeah,
But yeah, like the symbolic nature of like giving his childhood self a Grammy, I thought was really cool.
yeah.
And like a really cool like message, I guess, to do. Yep. And then I don't know if there's anything else like before the part with Ricky Martin that you wanted
No, it
to.
kind of just goes directly
Okay.
into the guitar, like
Yeah.
the slow guitar.
So it's Loque Le Paso a Hawaii, and that's when Ricky Martin comes out and performs this song. And I read about this song that it deals with a lot of themes of like colonialism. And so a lot of this halftime show is very like politically / like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a
You mean like in the same way a Kendrick Lamar show was
Yes.
very like it was giving
Like a
lot of
statement. Like a statement,
statements
yes.
and symbolism and drawing
Yes.
ties to certain like events and things that are going on in the world,
Right.
without necessarily saying
Yeah.
that, you know.
Because the song it talks about like colonialism. It parallels Puerto Rico and Hawaii under the U.S. sovereignty, and talks about like gentrification and stuff like that. And
Right. It's like the
it's-
it's similar to that song you know, from Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
Where it's like the Queen of Hawaii singing
Yeah.
to her people because she's basically being taken out of position of power.
yeah, and it kind of like in the songs like warning Puerto Ricans to protect culture, land, and language. Kind of comparing it to like how Hawaii was sort of in some
taken
ways has been like overrun by like the U.S. like or like the Americanization of their culture.
You could say the amount of American citizens who have
Right.
just bought in like tons and tons of land
Right.
on Hawaii's islands. You
yeah.
know?
So yeah.
Yeah.
So Ricky Martin performs that song.
Honestly, he sounded great. I haven't
Yeah.
heard Ricky Martin in
He
a while.
sounded
like,
really good. He like
He also
looks
looked good. Too.
really
Like,
good.
He looked. Yeah, I was like, it's funny because I was looking and I'm like, is that Ricky Martin?
Yeah.
And then I like knew it, and
And-
I remember I was looking online. People were like, if you didn't know who Ricky Martin was, then like that's the age gap. You
Yeah.
can tell like people who knew who Ricky
Right.
Martin were alive
Well-
when he was extreme. He was really popular early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like everyone knew who Ricky Martin was.
And I like that he came out and sang like a song all in Spanish, because me and Alyssa were talking about how like
Yeah.
Ricky Martin's like U.S. hits were like either some Spanish mixed with English and stuff like that. So it's cool that he just like did a whole song in Spanish.
Yeah,
which was cool.
Yeah, so Hannah said, "I love how much culture there
Yep.
is in this." Oh, hi. I said Ricky Martin with a question mark and an exclamation point. Ricky, and then I said good pick. Also love he's singing in Spanish.
Yep.
And I said since his big U.S. hits were in English.
Yeah.
And you said right, like really sticking to the roots of Puerto Rico, which is cool. So yeah, we were kind of talking about that.
And then, so after Ricky Martin, we get El Apagan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is when they're going up the utility poles. Is that?
So we start with back to like the marketplace, and this
Okay.
is when he comes out with the Puerto Rican flag.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And then goes up the electrical poles.
Yep.
Yes, the utility poles.
Which I
you'd
already
be
kind of
correct.
talked about the significance of that. And then we get Cafe Con Ron with this was the group I mentioned, the Los Planeros de la Cresta. That's when they come out and perform the music behind him. And then we get, I can't remember when it starts, but we kind of get this mention of like America. God bless, or no. What do you say?
He says, "God bless America."
Yeah.
God bless. Yeah.
And well, yeah, and but then
That's like the only thing he says in English.
right. But then as
Yeah.
soon as he says that, he basically mentions every single country that's part of the Americas.
The Americas. Yeah.
And I found that I found the significance of that interesting, because it's like I think a lot of people, specifically people from the United States, like forget that the Americas are like a bunch of countries and it's not just the United States.
Yeah.
So I did like that he kind of threw all those countries out there, and I think there were like flags behind him of the different countries
Yeah.
as well.
And he went all the way from the south to north, all the way up to Canada. Yeah. I thought that was telling. Like, and the only thing more powerful than hate is love.
Yeah,
in
that
the
was kind of
background
his
during this
ending
piece.
message that he had. And he ends with DTMF.
Yeah, which is a big song off his newest album.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think in terms of Super Bowls like that we have seen, because we didn't like watch every single one, but the ones that we started watching,
Yes.
it was very unique in the sense that like it painted this whole story of a place. And I don't know that we've ever had something like that. And especially with a lot of like the cultural elements that were included, and especially with everything that's been going on,
Yeah.
like where the world is at, where like our country is at. Like I think it was really significant to have a show like that.
Yeah.
And to kind of get like to get a really positive representation of a culture that I think a lot of times in America gets like a negative portrayal,
It's crazy.
or can
too.
get a negative
Yeah.
portrayal, I should say.
I think part of what I have been thinking about is I think it's crazy how much people are like opposed to quote unquote different cultures when the United States is just all cultures from everywhere blended together. Like we just blend everything together. Like a lot of stuff that is popular from other places. Like I mean, other than like the the indigenous and Native Americans who lived here before it was colonized, like every country has come in and contributed in some way,
Yeah, and a
to
lot of
the culture.
and a majority of the people who live in America have descendants from other countries.
Right. Like, it's not like we're all... That's the thing. I know, like, other countries are like, oh, like, I don't get why Americans are like, oh, I'm Irish, or I'm, I'm
Right.
Brazil, I'm Brazilian, or I'm, from these other countries. And it's like, because majority of people who live here do not have one ancestry.
Right.
Like, it's all these different countries all coming together.
Right.
And blended, like, the great American melting pot, I'm sure there's been lots of fucking racism and issues in different cultures being treated differently throughout
Right.
history, of course. But I don't ever get this argument of like, this isn't America, like this isn't it. And I'm like, it's everything. Like it can, that's why it's like the great American dream, is because you can make it whatever you want it to be. And so I hate that argument. But going back to the Bad Bunny show specifically, one thing I really thought, and kind of going off of what you said, is I think this is maybe, it might be the best like production of staging and like of like visual storytelling and like using a set piece to tell us to use the show of like any show. The only other ones that I was thinking of, I feel like The Weeknd did a really interesting thing, but his was very limited by COVID.
And I also can't think of his without thinking of all the memes of him underneath.
Because like I'm trying to imagine The Weeknd show without COVID, and I feel like it would have been really, really like, because staging wise, even with COVID, I thought he did a lot of really interesting stuff with the stage. I feel like Madonna did a lot of like stage specific production work, not so much in telling a story like with the scenery, but just using the stage, using the stadium. And the other one would be the like Kendrick Lamar did a lot of stuff as well, but not to this extent.
But it's like, this is like on a whole nother level to me.
Yeah, like I think that's what I really respect the most about the show, is just like the commitment to production of like telling a story through like having people dressed as grass so they could move stuff around. Like you can still keep that same feel but not have to like have different sections of stages. Like they made the stage as they went.
And I think too, like I was like smiling the entire time.
Yeah, it was a fun show
because it felt so joyous, and everyone was so like we just mentioned about like how the other show they didn't buy into it and they didn't like throw themselves into it. Like this felt like everyone who was there was so committed to that. Even like the guest performers, like Lady Gaga looked so happy to be there performing, like Ricky Martin. Like it just felt like everyone was so bought into that show that it just like made the whole thing really joyous.
I also, again, because we're talking about it, I think people really need to like, if you're offended that an entire show's in Spanish, maybe try to broaden your horizons. There's a lot of really good media out there that is in other languages, and follows other cultures. And I think, like, as I know, like when we were kids, everything that we got was dubbed. Like we've talked about this with Studio Ghibli and like other things where like we didn't really have access to shows, movies, music less so, but movies and music in other languages. But then as we, as time has progressed and the internet has, improved and not improved in ways, it makes it a lot easier to have access to those like original format movies, TV shows, music, in ways that we previously didn't. And I think there's a lot of good stuff out there that you don't necessarily need to understand every word to be able to enjoy.
Yeah, and I think specifically with music, at least I feel this way, like, there was a large portion of it that I did not understand, but I could feel the emotions.
Yeah.
I could understand the emotions of the songs based off of the performance and based off of, like, how it was performed.
Yeah. Also, everybody loved the Macarena.
Right.
Everybody loved Gangnam Style. Like,
right.
Like, we've enjoyed music in other languages before. Yeah. Like, I don't get the argument that it's like, I can't understand anything. I'm like...
Well, in the, like, explosion of K-pop, and a lot of that music, some of it, yes, is in English, but a lot of it not being in English. And, like, so I think it's one of those things where, like a lot of people's comments that I saw, which made me happy, were like, I don't understand a single thing, but I'm enjoying every second. And I'm like,
I took a screenshot because I saw a comment on Reddit that I thought was funny. I can't really read the username. It's like Verb Change 1588, I think is the name. It's a little blurry, but someone wrote, didn't understand a lick of that, but I sure do understand beats and booty, so I had fun. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you just have
like, it was just enjoyable.
Yeah,
and I think
it was just a good time.
And I do think it helped having so much visual elements.
Yeah,
because there was so much.
You could follow the story.
Right, there was so much to look at and like other things than just having to like try and listen to the words.
Right.
But yeah, no.
Also, like even people who sing in English, I can't always understand.
I know.
Words,
I think about it's funny because I think a lot about country artists who like mumble, like and you
Or just, like,
cannot
mumble rap,
understand.
you know?
Yeah, and it's like there's a lot of artists where you can't really understand everything they're saying,
Yeah,
even in English. So it's like, okay,
There's a reason there's so many like misheard lyrics things.
Yeah.
Because people Starbucks lover because people are
Right.
like, oh, I heard that wrong. And
Yeah.
it's like,
So, yeah.
it happens in English too.
but yes, I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I really liked that it was all about like love and like
Yeah.
having respect for your culture and having like appreciating it and wanting
Yeah.
to show his Puerto Rico to the world. And
Yeah.
I think that it was enjoyable. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's
It's
showing.
not my favorite show, but I enjoyed it a lot.
No, but it's showing his version of
America,
like America.
Like right, his version of the like America.
Right. And
to
it's
the
because
world.
it's if you think about it too, it's like we just talked about how there's so many different cultures, but it's like everyone has their own version of America. Like the people
Do you-
that live in there.
Do you think Kid Rock showed his version of America to the world?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is
I mean,
shit.
but that's our
It's shitty and
Yeah, because I think that's like for instance, just because it's just was like Fat Tuesday, Ash Wednesday. I know
Yeah.
it's in other areas, but like Punchkis being a big part of like our childhood growing up, where it's like I'm sure there's people who don't even know what the word is. If they saw the word Punchki like written out, I don't think they would think it's pronounced like that at all. And it's just like a because there's a big Polish, population in Michigan, and in the Midwest in general. That's why it's such a big thing here. But again, there's people in other parts of the U.S. who wouldn't have any idea what that is. They wouldn't
Right.
even have a concept of that because it's not part of that like ingrained culture that's like been established over time.
yeah, and you just saying that like gave me like a thing in my head of like it's interesting. I think about this when I think about like how people pick and choose how to use like religion. It's interesting also like to pick and choose how to like a lot of people complaining about not being able to understand something, but then like how many of those people like go out and enjoy like things that come from Spanish cultures, like food or
Yep.
whatever it may be. It's like they're picking and choosing like what they're okay with,
Yeah.
which I think is a big reflection of like the society we live in is like people will like be okay with certain things until it like it's very much like this is okay but this is not, and
Right. Yeah.
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 Anyways,
we
though.
should just all enjoy things,
Yeah, just enjoy.
things you like.
Enjoy life.
Maybe, go to your comfort zone a little bit sometimes.
It's also easier to just like enjoy things and not like have an
right.
issue with every single thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we can
All
go to our
right.
rankings.
Go to our rankings.
Would
So
you
I
like to
thought-
rank first?
Sure. So what I did just to make my life easier is I'm gonna tell you which shows are right above and right below, so that way, like, just for I'm not gonna go over my actual list.
Right.
We both have Prince as number one.
Yes.
If you didn't listen to our previous, I think we had 4 episodes last year covering the Super Bowl halftime shows. If you haven't listened to them, feel free to go back and listen to them, or just to our last episode to listen to our like top 7 rankings.
Yeah.
So we kind of covered our rankings as we went with each year, with the exception of our top 7. We saved those for the very end. But this show, I have placed at number 9.
Okay.
So 9th place. I was going down my list, and I was like, okay, like this one more, this one more, this one more, and I found the spot that I was like, you know what, this feels right. So
Yeah.
my show right above it is 2008, which is the Tom Petty show, and honestly, that's because I just love Tom Petty so much. I have a real bias for Tom Petty, and
Yeah.
I mean, we already talked about that when we talked about originally. So that would be number 8, and then my now number 10 show would be the 2002 U2 halftime show, which obviously has a lot of like obviously it was giving like joy to Americans for like after 9/11, and obviously it was very symbolic, and like people have a lot of respect for that show, especially again because it's not an artist from the United States. So I thought I liked that show a little bit more than that one in terms of like impact and my own enjoyment.
I keep going back and forth, and I think I don't know, I find this one so significant in terms of like doing something completely different than any other show that is on this list. So I think I'm gonna go with my initial gut reaction, which is to put it at number 7.
Okay, yeah, pretty similar, yeah.
Yeah, so Beyonce is number 6. I do find Beyonce's like just such a performer and such like
It's a good show.
yeah, it was just a really entertaining show. And I put number 7. So number 8 would now be Katy Perry with Lenny Kravitz and Missy Elliott. I really like that show. I just thought it was really entertaining, and I really like the collaborations. But I just think this show is so like significant in terms of one, like the everything we talked about in the cultural and like the messages, but also just the production and the way they did the sets and the way they did the visuals was just really unique to me in terms of like a Super Bowl show, and kind of pushes the bar on what they can do. I'm curious who's going to be next and like how they're going to follow that up, or like what if that's I wonder if this is going to change future halftime shows.
Right, because we had, like, we've talked about it where we had the era where it was all stages, you know, where we had a bunch of artists performing on a stage and, like, crowds around it, and then we kind of shifted to more, like, having bigger, like, kind of set pieces, and some artists have used that to more to an extent than others have, but then I feel like, we've kind of, I think it's kind of been leading to that with the past couple shows, especially with, like, the Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg show, and then Kendrick Lamar show, where it incorporated a lot more of the like culture of like, you know, LA in the case of the Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Kendrick Lamar shows, and then into this one, which is very like prominent of like specifically Puerto Rican culture.
Yeah, and I wonder too, like if it's going to change the visual aspects of future halftime shows, how they do them. But
I want to make a hot take prediction. I feel like in the future, when we look back, this show will hold up.
Yeah, I agree.
I think people will look at this and still have, like, I think it will hold up in terms of, like, looking at it. Like, kind of like how we look at the Madonna show and be like, holy shit, like, she really brought it.
Well, yeah,
like,
and I think...
held up well.
I think also, like, the significance of it in this... Like, I think about the U2 doing the 9/11, post 9/11. The significance of that performance in that moment in our current society, in the current state we're in.
With again, a little fuck eyes.
Yeah. So I think I do agree with you. I think that will be one that like will be remembered. Yeah. So anyways, that is our Bad Bunny halftime show. We will be back next year with whoever's performing.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Whomever is performing. And yeah, thanks for listening. We have our Instagram. We have a Gmail, r3podcast@gmail.com. We have a Letterboxd account. And
as always, if you have any suggestions for us, we are always open to them. Especially with, like, we have a lot of recurring episodes, but we also like to do new stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we will be back.
All right. Bye.
We would like to thank Joseph McDade for our intro music. He provides free music available for all kinds of creative use. The song that we used is called Sunrise Expedition, and you can find it and his other music on his website, josephmcdade.com. If you would like to reach us, you can email us at r3podcasts@gmail.com. That's R, the number 3, podcasts@gmail.com. Or you can find us on Instagram by searching Research Rank Repeat.
If you're talking and can hear me, you're just oh, well, that's not good. What the fuck did my Zoom go? Hello?